Your financial life at 25, 35, and 45 can feel like three completely different worlds, even when you are still the same person. What changes is not only how much you earn, your responsibilities, risks, priorities, and definition of financial success change too. The same salary can feel abundant at one age and stretched at another, because money is always shaped by what it is expected to support. The better question is not only how much money should I have, it is what should my money be doing for me at this stage of life? This is not a competition between ages or between people. Your starting point may be different. What matters is understanding the direction that fits your life. Let's begin at 25, a stage where income may still be limited, experience is still growing, but time is one of your greatest advantages. Your first real salary can feel enormous because it may be the first time you have money that feels completely yours. The freedom to spend often arrives before the structure to manage money. Your choices expand immediately, while budgeting and long-term planning may take time to develop.
Small expenses rarely feel dangerous, but coffee, delivery, subscriptions, transport, and convenience purchases can quietly become one large monthly number. Then the month ends faster than expected. The salary that felt large at the beginning can disappear long before the next payday arrives. At first, budgeting can feel restrictive, like every category is telling you what you are not allowed to enjoy. But a good budget is not punishment. It gives every priority a place and gives you permission to enjoy the money you have intentionally set aside. Emergency savings can feel boring because nothing exciting happens when you build them. There is no new gadget, no trip, and no visible reward. Then life sends an unexpected bill. A repair, a medical expense, an urgent trip, or a sudden gap in income. A small buffer does not make the problem disappear, but it can change the feeling from panic to inconvenience, and that difference matters. Your first financial goal is not to look wealthy. It is to create enough breathing room that one unexpected expense does not control your life. Start with 1 month of essential expenses. A clear, achievable target is more useful than a perfect number that feels impossible. Debt can quietly steal future income. A purchase made today may already decide where part of next month's salary and several salaries after that must go. Minimum payments can make debt feel affordable, but a small monthly amount may hide a much longer repayment period and a much larger total cost.
With high-interest debt, progress can feel slow because interest keeps adding new weight. You may be paying regularly while the balance barely moves. One practical strategy is to attack the most expensive debt first. Reducing high interest can free more future income for everything else. Credit is a tool, not extra income. Every amount you borrow is a claim on money you have not earned yet. At 25, one of your biggest opportunities is growing income faster than lifestyle costs. Skills, experience, and better work can create a widening gap. That gap between what you earn and what you spend is where wealth begins. The wider you protect it, the more options your future can have. Investing may feel too early when the amount is small, but at 25, the amount is not your only advantage. The years ahead can do much of the heavy lifting. Compounding does not require dramatic beginnings. It rewards consistency. Small contributions repeated long enough to become something much larger. Waiting does not make the goal impossible, but it changes the amount of effort required. Time lost often has to be replaced with much larger contributions later. Automation protects good intentions from busy months and changing moods. Move money towards savings and investing before lifestyle spending has a chance to absorb it. At 25, investing in skills can be as important as investing money. Better capabilities may increase income for decades, not just for 1 year. You will probably make financial mistakes. The advantage of being young is not avoiding every error. It is having time to learn, correct, and recover.
Used carefully, credit can help build a useful financial history. The goal is reliability and control, not using every limit available. Protection at 25 does not need to be complicated. Cover the risks that could seriously disrupt your finances and avoid paying for protection you do not need. Lifestyle inflation usually does not arrive as one huge decision. It appears through many small upgrades that quietly follow every increase in income. Lower fixed costs create room to change jobs, move cities, learn new skills, and survive setbacks. Flexibility is valuable while your career is still evolving. Being responsible does not mean postponing every experience. The goal is to enjoy life without forcing your future self to pay for every memory. At 25, the goal is not perfection. Build a buffer, control expensive debt, grow your skills, invest consistently, and protect the advantage of time.
Then a decade passes. Income may rise, but life becomes fuller, and every financial decision begins affecting more than one person. At 35, responsibilities rarely arrive one at a time. Work, housing, family, protection, debt, and long-term goals may all demand attention together. Housing often becomes one of the biggest changes. A larger home may bring stability, but also larger payments, utilities, maintenance, and recurring costs. Partnership changes money because decisions become shared. Income, spending, debt, goals, and risk now need communication, not assumptions. Shared goals do not become shared automatically. Regular money conversations help two people decide what matters, what can wait, and what both are willing to support. A child changes cash flow immediately. New essentials appear today, while education, protection, and long-term planning begin pulling money toward the future. Childcare can become one of the largest new expenses because it is not occasional. It repeats every week while work and household responsibilities continue. Education may still be years away, but planning begins early because long timelines can make large future costs more manageable. When several people depend on the household, income uncertainty feels different. A temporary gap can affect housing, care, savings, and everyday stability at once. A mortgage can create stability, but it is also a long commitment. Part of future income is already assigned before each month begins. The mortgage is only one part of homeownership. Repairs, insurance, utilities, maintenance, furniture, and unexpected replacements all compete for cash flow. A larger home may improve comfort, but it also creates more things to maintain, repair, insure, heat, cool, and eventually replace. Parents may begin needing more support, sometimes financially, sometimes medically, and sometimes simply through time, transport, and organization. Protection matters more when one financial shock can affect several people. Insurance helps prevent a difficult event from becoming a long-term financial crisis. The emergency fund that was enough for one person may no longer be enough for a household. The buffer has to grow with the responsibilities it protects. By the mid-30s, experience may accelerate career growth. Larger roles can increase income, but they may also increase pressure, accountability, and time demands. Higher income creates real opportunity. It can strengthen savings, reduce debt, improve protection, and fund goals that once felt distant. But fixed costs may rise too. Mortgage payments, childcare, insurance, utilities, transport, and household services can absorb much of the increase. Career pressure may also peak around this stage. You want to grow professionally, but work is no longer the only part of life demanding your attention. Higher income can hide higher stress. More responsibility may bring longer hours, less flexibility, and less time for the people and activities that matter. Lifestyle inflation can return in a larger form. A bigger home, better furniture, more services, and more convenience can create a much larger monthly cost. The expensive car is not only a purchase,
It may also represent years of monthly commitments and less flexibility for every other goal. Comparison also changes. At 25, it may be phones and travel. At 35, it may be homes, promotions, cars, and the appearance of having everything figured out. Success can become expensive to perform. The home, car, holidays, and visible signs of progress may begin feeling less like rewards and more like weight. Debt is no longer just a balance on a statement. It can limit how easily you change jobs, relocate, take a break, or respond when life changes. When more people depend on you, an emergency fund becomes essential. It gives the household time to respond without turning every crisis into new debt. A common target is several months of essential expenses. The exact number depends on your household, income stability, and responsibilities. Insurance begins making more sense when risk no longer affects only you. Protection helps prevent one event from destabilizing the entire household. Your income may be the engine supporting every major goal. Protecting that earning power can be just as important as trying to increase it. Retirement no longer feels impossibly far away. The timeline is still long, but now it is close enough to influence decisions made today. When you start later, the goal may still be possible, but the monthly amount required can become much larger because there is less time for compounding to work. Catching up can feel like pushing a much heavier load. You are trying to fund the future while every current responsibility continues moving beside you. As your investments grow, allocation becomes important. The question is no longer only how much you invest, but how that money is divided across growth, stability, liquidity, and long-term goals.
Tax planning also enters the picture. Income, investments, insurance, and long-term goals begin interacting in ways that require more organization and intention. Home, children, parents, emergencies, travel, and retirement may all matter. The challenge is that every goal is pulling from the same limited monthly cash flow. You may care about every goal, but you cannot always fund every goal equally. Progress requires deciding what must come first and what can move more slowly. Financial planning is often trade-off management. Putting more toward one priority may mean slowing another goal, not abandoning it, but sequencing it. Strong cash flow may be your most useful financial asset at 35. The money left after essentials can build safety, reduce debt, invest, and fund future goals. At 35, the goal is balance. Protect the people who depend on you without sacrificing the future version of yourself. Then another decade passes. Experience grows, responsibilities evolve, and the distance between today and retirement becomes much easier to see. By 45, years of experience may bring your strongest earning period. Your role, confidence, and income may all be higher than before. But income is no longer the only measure that matters. Time begins feeling more valuable because you understand that money can grow, but time cannot be replaced. Career risk can feel different at 45. A major change may affect more responsibilities, and rebuilding can require more time, planning, and financial flexibility. Starting again may be harder, not because your experience has less value, but because the decision now carries larger responsibilities and more complicated trade-offs. Health also becomes a visible part of the budget. Checkups, prevention, insurance, fitness, and medical reserves are no longer easy to treat as optional. Energy no longer feels unlimited. You may be earning more, but rest, health, and the ability to recover become resources worth protecting. Children's education costs may now reach their highest level, often at the same time that retirement needs more attention and more funding. Parents may also need more support, financially, medically, and practically. Care becomes less occasional and more structured. You may find yourself in the financial middle, helping children move forward while also supporting parents who increasingly depend on you.
Retirement is no longer an abstract idea. It is a visible destination with a limited number of working years remaining between you and it. When the remaining years become countable, decisions change. Saving, debt, health, and career choices begin carrying more urgency. Investment mistakes can carry more weight when the portfolio is larger and the recovery timeline is shorter. Protecting progress becomes increasingly important. Risk capacity may change as retirement approaches. The goal is not necessarily to avoid risk, but to make sure the level of risk still fits the time available.
Debt reduction begins feeling like freedom. Every obligation removed can create more room for flexibility, resilience, and future choice. After years of payments, the mortgage finish line may finally become visible. What once felt endless is now reduced to the last few steps. More possessions may no longer feel as exciting. Many things eventually become storage, maintenance, and responsibility rather than lasting satisfaction. Experiences may become more valuable than visible upgrades. Time with family, shared memories, and simple moments begin carrying more meaning. Convenience can become worth paying for when it returns something valuable: time, energy, recovery, or more attention for the people who matter. Financial independence begins gaining real meaning. It is not only about stopping work, it is about having enough security to choose how you want to work. Retirement is not simply the absence of work. A meaningful future also needs purpose, relationships, health, interests, and a plan for how you want to spend your time. Healthcare planning becomes essential because medical costs can affect more than health. Without preparation, they can also disrupt retirement savings, family security, and long-term independence. Estate planning also enters the conversation. Important documents, property details, investments, insurance, and legal instructions should be organized before anyone urgently needs them. Nominees and beneficiaries matter because financial protection depends on clear ownership and access. Outdated information can create confusion when the family needs simplicity most. At 45, the goal is to turn accumulated money into security and choice. Wealth should begin reducing pressure, not creating more of it. At 25, your greatest financial asset is time. Time to learn, recover from mistakes, grow your income, and allow small investments to compound. At 35, your greatest financial asset is often cash flow. The monthly surplus you protect and direct can support nearly every major goal at once. At 45, your greatest financial asset may be flexibility, the ability to keep working, slow down, change direction, support family, or move toward retirement on your own terms.
Income does not automatically create wealth. You can earn much more and still build very little if expenses grow at the same speed. Wealth is not only what you earn, it is what you keep, invest, protect, and preserve from unnecessary debt and financial shocks. Every decade has a different financial job. At 25, build. At 35, protect. At 45, convert what you have built into security, flexibility, and freedom. Do not copy the priorities of someone in a completely different life stage. The right strategy depends on your responsibilities, time horizon, risks, and goals. Start from where you are, not where you wish you had started, and not where somebody else appears to be. Progress begins with the next practical decision. Your financial future is rarely built through one dramatic decision. It is built through ordinary months, one contribution, one payment, one habit, and one better choice at a time. The true purpose of money is not to create the appearance of success. It is to create security, peace, time, and choice. At 25, 35, or 45, the next decision still matters. If you want to know more about money psychology your usual ledger won't tell, just subscribe to the Invisible Ledger. Stay tuned for more unusual finance stories.